Warning: if you think for one instant the U.S. and global economy are recovering, then you must listen to what will be revealed in this video. Hello, I'm an American, you're an American, and I'll bet you dollars to donuts you don't like what you see out there. In this video, I want to share what I've learned because I want you to know the truth, and it ain't pretty. What you are about to see may shock you, it may disturb you, and hopefully, if I have my way, it will provoke you. Provoke you to action. Watch this entire video because you're finally going to get the big picture. You're going to get a glimpse into the future, how it's all going to go down. And it ain't pretty. The stuff we see happening in America today, we saw happening in other countries in decline and chaos. But never here. What in heaven's name is going on? In the Bible, Revelations, it talks about how in the end days, the end times, how God's going to lift his hand, his blessing, and allow Lucifer free reign. I don't know about you. I'm a Christian, and I have no problem saying so. In fact, I'm proud of it, even though we're starting to see Christians being discriminated against just because of our beliefs. Yet it doesn't take a prophet to realize we're headed in for some very rough waters. As the world explodes in violence, wars, riots, and uprisings, when the earth convulses, it can be challenging to step back and examine the bigger picture. I don't care whether we're talking about natural disasters and crises like hurricanes and earthquakes and tsunamis and freezing cold snaps and droughts like the one here in California. And the earthquakes? OMG, as my niece says. Oklahoma has had more than 200 earthquakes in the last 6 months. Stuff like this you don't even see in the movies. I'm not sure if you heard the news, but there's a freaking super volcano underneath Yellowstone National Park, and it's active. Animals are getting spooked. Obviously, there's nothing anyone can do about it, except pray and prepare. It's a travesty. We can't even eat our fish without thinking twice. Why? Because the Fukushima reactor crippled by Japan's tsunami is still flooding the Pacific with cesium-32 radioactive particles. Starfish are dying. Schools of fish showing on beaches, dead. Sick whales with tumors are struggling. Salmon and tuna are contaminated, toxic. Particles have shown up across the U.S. all the way up to Alaska, and nobody's saying anything. Why? Because, again, the situation is out of anyone's control. The government, I'm sure you've seen the news stories. I have too. Department of Homeland Security is stockpiling, majorly. Ammo by the billions of rounds. This is the DHS we're talking about. They're building out FEMA concentration camps like they're going out of style. Camps that have barbed wire facing inward. Think about it. IRS, post office even, and the FDA getting automatic weapons? Are you kidding me? That's not to mention the military with all their new technology, like self-guided bullets and armies of armed photo-taking drones and robots. What concerns me is it seems they're preparing to use their technology against us. It's scary stuff out there, I don't mind saying, and it's going to get worse. If you can bet on one thing, you can bet on that. I mean, over half the nation getting some sort of government assistance, 17% real unemployment, the economy tanking, inflation skyrocketing, Wall Street ultra skittish, personal debt at all-time highs, countries around the world threatening to abandon the dollar, an economic crash is just around the corner, and all the while, our borders are broken, flooded with illegal immigrants, shepherded by gangs, drug cartels, and coyotes. And I don't care what you say, that's what they are, illegals. For all intents and purposes, we have an open border. It almost feels like an invasion, doesn't it? And the government is subsidizing the whole thing. They're coming in at our expense. At the same time, we're $17 trillion in debt. Cities like Detroit are bankrupt. We can't help the poor, we can't feed the homeless, but illegals, they can go to Walmart and have EBT cards issued by the government. I'll be darned. And they're bringing all sorts of diseases, not to mention all the other plagues and infections that are headed our way. MRSA, Ebola, swine, anthrax. The CDC is doing everything it can to avoid causing a pandemic. Not to mention wars in the Middle East, the Holy Land. That's just a powder keg waiting for a match. Plus terrorism. Yeah, now the ISIS has risen and stolen $500 million from an Iraqi bank and creating their own Sharia law country. Everybody in the know is saying it's just a matter of time. And the wars, Afghanistan, Syria, the Ukraine, threats like China, Korea, Iran, and of course there's the scary situation in Israel and the uprising in Russia. Now, maybe you're not the conspiracy theorist type. I'm not either, but I can't help wondering, Why is all this happening? Is it the global elite, the Illuminati, the Bilderberg Group, the CFR? It not only makes you wonder, it scares the living daylights out of you, doesn't it? It does to me, and I don't mind saying it. Yet what concerns me even more is it's hitting closer to home. Get this, our local police just got one of the MRAPs, an armored vehicle capable of withstanding an IED bomb. What the heck do they need that for? I mean, I live in a small, peaceful little town of about 16,000 people, and they have their very own SWAT team. What do they know that we don't? Maybe you saw it on the internet. They just deployed a SWAT team to collect on unpaid parking tickets at the break of day. And take a look at this. Where are all these military vehicles going? That's right here in the U.S.? Our local police are starting to look like military. To them, we don't live in neighborhoods anymore. We live in what the police call sectors. Our rights are being assaulted as never before. The government, the police, can do what they call no-knock raids. The NSA is downloading the entire internet up in Utah, copying every word, image, and conversation ever spoken online. I don't know about you, but the NSA surveillance stuff scares me silly. The fact they have access to my computer, even while it's turned off? Yeah, it's true. They can do that. And our guns? Sheesh, don't get me started. Now, I'm not asking you to fight or protest, although the time may come for that. What I'm asking you to do is prepare. Prepare yourself. Prepare your home. Prepare your family. How do you prepare? With knowledge, with information, with action. Today, I'm here with a warning. I'm sounding the alarm and ringing the bell. I'm raising the flag. Yet at the same time, I want you to breathe, stay calm, think clearly, because watching this video could change your life. My name is Richard Marshall. My friends call me Buck. I'm a certified survival expert and instructor with 22 years of in-the-field training and experience. I've worked in both federal and state emergency operations centers, and I hold over 75 certifications, specializing in counterterrorism, decontamination, WMDs, and hazmat, just to name a few. I'm also regularly deployed to national disaster areas under FEMA as part of the Incident Command Staff. In my downtime, I spend my weekends teaching dozens of people the essential life-saving skills that every American from 8 to 88 absolutely needs to know to survive during an emergency, disaster, or crisis. And I have to tell you, it's shocking to realize how little the average person knows about what they need to do in a crisis situation. I was there 13 years ago at Ground Zero. It was mayhem. Trust me, and I'm on the inside. There is no safety net. In moments of terror, it's every man, every family for themselves. These days, and as the stuff starts hitting the fan, your very survival depends upon only one thing: how well prepared you are. In my 22 years teaching survival skills, I've taught over 2,000 people. And the difference between what they know on day one and what they know by the time it's over is literally the difference between life and death. And not just life and death for them. Far more importantly, life and death for their families and loved ones as well. Sure, I get paid for my time, but do you really think after 22 years I prefer being in the middle of the woods in rural Colorado sleeping on the ground away from my wife and 2 children? The way I see it, I'm on a mission. The more people that know how to survive the crisis, the safer we're all going to be. And that helps everyone. I mean, I was deployed when Hurricane Katrina hit and the levees broke. They had years to prepare. They knew it was just a matter of time. Then, finally it hit, and panic set in. I remember being in the little rowboats going from house to house, people on their roofs for days with no food or clean water. The smell made you gag. Now, I'm not claiming to be some superhero saving the world. I'm simply doing what I believe is necessary for as many of us to survive as possible. God forbid we should all end up looking like characters on that cable TV show The Walking Dead. But it pains me because I'm barely able to scratch the surface with my infield weekend seminars. So if you're watching this now, please close your email, turn off your cell phone, and keep paying extra close attention. Let me give you some tools right now that may save the day, if not the life of a loved one. Here's the first one. Do you have steel wool around the house? Good, because did you know steel wool can start fires? You bet. How? You just use a little steel wool and a battery, a few thin strands of the steel wool to bridge the battery terminals, causing a short, and guess what? It'll spark all you want. Instant fire. And did you know you can use a kid's crayon as a candle? Yep, now you know why you have kids. Just break off the tip of the crayon and light the paper on fire for a quick makeshift candle. Works every time. Pretty cool, huh? I have more. Did you know you can use your watch as a compass? Now this is really cool. Just hold your watch flat, then line up the hour hand with the sun. The point halfway between the hour hand and 12 will be north. Now, if you're in the southern hemisphere, line up the 12 with the sun and do the same thing. Pretty clever, huh? You're gonna love the next one. Did you know tampons make good bandages? Don't laugh. A tampon may save your life someday. In an emergency, a tampon makes a great bandage. Just split the gauze flat and apply it to a wound. They're also great for nosebleeds. You can cut off the string if you think you look funny. Next, sounds incredible, but aluminum foil can replace your whole kitchen. It pays to keep a roll or two around in an emergency. Use foil to create a moisture barrier to build your fire, or to keep your matches dry, or wrap your food in it to cook directly in fire. You can also fold it to make dishes. And speaking of eating, how about chewing gum? The simple act of chewing on a stick of gum can suppress your appetite all day, thereby preserving limited food supplies while aiding in necessary saliva production. While it's no substitute for a Big Mac, a stick or two can also be used in a pinch for short-term nutrition. Then there's obviously trusty duct tape. Duct tape can be used for lots of things, but here's what I've personally used it for. Taking care of blisters. Just cover the blister with gauze, then cover it with duct tape. Don't let the duct tape touch the blister, just the gauze. You can also wrap duct tape around a sprained ankle to give it some support. Or if you have a cut and no adhesive bandages, use duct tape over a clean gauze, or use that tampon I talked about earlier to secure it in place. And for treating a minor wound or cut, you know what works great? Super glue. Yeah, just clean the wound and spread a thin layer of super glue on the cut and hold until dry. It can cause some skin irritation, so be careful not to get any glue inside the wound. The next one is really interesting. Did you know you can make fire out of ice? Just chip a clear piece of ice into a rough sphere, then smooth it by rolling it between your hands. That sphere can be used as a lens to turn the sun's rays into a warm, comfort-giving, life-saving fire. And here's my favorite. You can use condoms for keeping things dry. You can store matches and other items you want to stay dry inside. You can also use a condom as a water carrier, a cell phone protector, and a latex glove. Think of the possibilities. Listen, any and all of these simple everyday items can save your life, or the life of a loved one in an emergency. And sometimes the little things can make the biggest difference, have the biggest impact. That's why for the last 22 years I've been on a mission. I can guarantee that you and your family, your community, our country are on course for a crisis. Whether it's natural or man-made, we don't get to choose. They're becoming more frequent, more devastating, more deadly. We're worried today so much more than even a decade ago. We just have to be prepared. It's not an option anymore. And much of that preparation has to do with knowledge and training, not just having good insurance. Obviously, it only makes sense. The more knowledge and training you have, the better prepared you will be for a life-threatening emergency. That's why in the past few years, my weekend survival training boot camps have gone from being half full to being sold out months in advance. And stockpiling non-perishable food has gone from the totally bizarre to the complete norm. And more people are watching this video than ever before. And that doesn't even include our friends at the NSA, CIA, and DHS. Speaking of which, if you think you're walking around with some kind of safety net just because you're an American courtesy of our government, think again. Or if you believe your friends will help you out in an emergency, you need a reality check, because they're going to be depending on you in the next catastrophe. Unfortunately, in times of crisis, it's every man and woman for themselves. That's human nature. It can't and won't change. It's like they say on airline flights, secure your own oxygen mask first. Oh, and if you've already prepared your own disaster kit, according to the Department of Homeland Security's website, you may have put yourself in an even worse situation. Trust me, I know. It's the classic mistake of thinking you're prepared when you may be far from it. Top survival experts commonly say a sense of false confidence is the most dangerous killer of all. The good news is you're watching this video because you are aware of the danger. Because when disaster comes, you have zero warning, no time to do anything about it. You know, if you have a flashlight and a few days of food in the basement and think you're all set, you're far, far worse off than you could ever imagine. I see this every weekend I train people in one of my survival courses. Folks who think they have it covered, when in fact, if they did what they thought was the right thing to do in a crisis, their inaction would get them killed 8 times out of 10. We live in a country of 350 million of the most ill-prepared people on the planet. And sadly, I can't help everyone, even though I wish I could. But I can help those who share the same mindset I do, one of responsibility to their families, to their communities, to themselves. If you are part of the 1% who have the knowledge, you'll never have to worry about your well-being. Believe me, I've seen a lot of people die in disasters simply because they weren't prepared. Their memories haunt me. I remember being in that cold snap during Hurricane Sandy trying to help folks. You didn't hear half the story on TV. It was totally suppressed. People were homeless, died, couldn't travel, the looting, the robbing. It just doesn't have to be that way. But you'll be able to sleep like a baby, and your family will always be safe in a crisis. Because what if something happens tomorrow? Where will you be? If you can't make a fire in the freezing cold, you may not survive. And even if you do, you and your family will be infinitely more miserable than on the worst day of your entire life. Only the pain and misery might last for months. And do you know what's worse? Regret. Regret you could have made a difference. Regret you could have done more. Regret you could have saved a life. The choice is yours. I'm sharing life-saving knowledge, and I'm offering it to you right now. I know my family's safe, and so are the families of the thousands of students I've taught over the 22 years I've been doing this. There's a reason. One simple decision today can easily be the difference between being warm, safe, and well-fed almost indefinitely, or waiting in a line for 17 hours straight overnight in the freezing cold, soaking wet, just to get a tiny 3-day-old bologna sandwich and a Dixie cup of lukewarm, watery soup. Yeah, that happens. Happened in Joplin, Missouri during the tornadoes that hit a couple years ago. I saw it with my own eyes. That's not what I want for you. So here's what I did. About a year ago, I rolled up my sleeves, locked myself in my office, and worked on nothing else until I'd created the exact step-by-step, color-by-numbers formula that any man, woman, or child can quickly learn and use to survive any disaster situation. I've poured my heart and soul into this. I drew upon every training, every disaster I was ever deployed in. I left no stone unturned. 22 years of real-world experience, condensed, distilled, and laid out for you in an easy-to-read, simple-to-follow 5-stage plan. I call it Alive After Crisis. This essential survival and preparedness manual is where Americans around the country can learn the essential life-saving strategies, skills, and information you need to survive in a future that is looking pretty scary right now. So how much is it? Well, first, let me ask you a question. How much is it worth to you to possess the knowledge that in a serious crisis can and will save lives? Save your own life, and maybe more importantly, the lives of your family. The good news? I'm asking far less than I probably should be, because getting this knowledge in the hands of as many people as possible is my mission. I'm here to help as many Americans as I can, one by one. Let me give you a real quick run-through of what you're going to get, and then I'll reveal my preferential pricing for you today with a twist. You'll see what I mean in a minute. All right, let's get down to it. First, every last essential detail you'll ever need is included. Right from page 1, you'll discover immediately it's direct, straight to the point. No BS, no fluff. My comprehensive new infield training program comes complete with 5 survival and preparation modules, detailed guides and checklists for all sorts of contingencies, multiple drills and exercises you can practice with your family to make absolutely certain you'll never be caught off guard. Never be unprepared. Time is always of the essence. You never have to worry about any kind of crisis, no matter what form it presents itself. The moment you're in possession of this knowledge, you'll be just as empowered as my best student who took my live training in the most challenging and difficult of situations. Let me fill you in on everything you get in a Live After Crisis. It's broken down into 5 modules. These core modules are drawn from the many different types of workshops and boot camps I've taught over the years. Students in the past have paid up to $1,000 to receive live training in the field on each module. But you'll receive instant access to all 5 modules neatly packaged together in a single volume. We'll dive right into understanding the psychology of the masses in a crisis situation and how you can use this knowledge to guarantee you never get sucked into the riot mentality that ends lives. You'll discover what your single biggest threat is in any crisis and how to not only be ready for it, but to guarantee it will never become an issue. 95% of people who die in the first 3 days of a crisis die for only one reason. I'll tell you what it is. You'll learn a brain-dead simple life-saving trick to make sure you have enough water to drink, even if your supply were to vanish overnight. Plus, you'll discover how simple it is to turn polluted rainwater into crystal clear, fresh drinking water. I'll show you the single best way to stay warm if you've lost heat and power, even if it's the dead of winter. Psychogenic shock, or going into shock as it's commonly referred to, is a totally debilitating bodily reaction that happens to far too many people at a crisis. If you get it, you're finished. I'll show you how to get out of it with a strategy that will never fail you. You'll see how easy it is to have delicious home-cooked meals, even if the power and gas have been off for weeks. Guns kill, but they save lives as well. Should you own one? You'll discover the God's honest truth about firearms. Everything you need to know about guns to keep your family safe and completely eliminate the risk of owning one should you choose to bear arms. You'll also discover how to be fully informed with up-to-the-minute breaking news during the crisis, even if you have no power whatsoever. A Live After Crisis will give you all the knowledge you'll need to skillfully navigate your way through any crisis situation. You'll know more than all the families on your block combined. Imagine what you can command for your knowledge. Weapons, food, water, shelter, you name it, you'll get it. It's common for food stocks to spoil. If yours do, it could mean starvation for your family. I'll show you how to ensure none of your stored food will ever go bad. Plus, I'll reveal all the essential food items you must have stored in your home at all times. The average fight lasts 6 short seconds. You'll learn how to make those seconds count. When your family's threatened, all I can say is thank God you'll now know these secrets. Okay, so what's it all going to cost? Here's what it all boils down to. Your special online price, plus all my best survival secrets, strategies, and tactics, ones that have given Americans like you everything they need to confidently deal with a future that's imminent, is not $997. It's not $297. It's not even $97. It's just $47. And I dare say at that price, you won't find a better value for anything you can buy, regardless of what it is. That's beyond a bargain. But remember, when the time comes, your knowledge will be so valuable, your neighbors will gladly trade you anything they can to know what you know. I've seen it before. I'm talking about food, water, weapons, tools, anything you could ever need would be yours. Now, since you're still watching, I know you're serious, and I applaud you for that. So I'm going to do something else for you today to make absolutely sure you get your copy of A Live After Crisis right now. You'll see a timer running below right now. If you grab your copy of A Live After Crisis before the timer runs out, you'll get an additional 20% discount and only pay $37 for instant access. If you wait, you'll pay the full $47 just like everyone else. To survive a disaster, you need to make quick decisions and execute on them. I was a captain in a U.S. Air Patrol, where I served as a Squadron Emergency Services officer, teaching senior members search and rescue survival skills and first aid. I taught and tested thousands of officers. I'm testing you right now. Do you have what it takes to survive? Grab your copy before the timer runs out and you only pay $37. If you hesitate, you'll pay $47. If you don't act at all, you may pay with your life during a crisis. Survivors have the ability to make rapid, instinctual decisions, life and death decisions in an instant. Grab your 20% discount before the timer runs out. Prove that you have what it takes to survive. Still not sure? Well, I'm still not done. Not even close. Once you become a member, I go all out. One of the first things I'm going to do is share my favorite cell phone app with you. With the push of a button, you'll instantly alert your 6 closest friends you're in danger and give them your exact location. This app recently won a Technology and Safety Protection Award from the White House, and it's completely free. What if disaster strikes when you're away from home and the cell towers are down? You'll discover the 7 essential items you must have on or near you, in your car, for example, at all times to ensure your safe return home to your family. Having all the first aid essentials in your home is imperative. I'll spell out exactly how to assemble a medical kit rivaling a fully equipped ambulance. And if money is tight or you're on a fixed income, you'll learn exactly how to become a survivor without having to stretch your limited funds. Scammers and thieves fly out of the woodwork when crisis hits. You'll learn how to identify the most common scam these looters will use to get you to come running outside your home. If you fall for this, it's over. But one simple trick will ensure you never do. God forbid you should ever get robbed out on the street, but it can happen. This one trick will ensure you'll get away safely every time. Keeping morale up is essential during any crisis. An unhappy, frightened, scared family can fall apart overnight. I've seen it happen, and it isn't pretty. I'll show you how to create a feeling of safety in your family even after the world is falling apart around you. To stay alive after crisis, you need to know all of this. Your body of knowledge is what will keep you alive. And what about protection for your family? You'll learn how to turn your home into a bunker nearly as safe as the president's. You'll have the most impenetrable house on the block. Once you execute my simple home protection plan, the looters and thieves won't even look at your house. They'll simply move on to the next one. You'll get my 3 most essential self-defense secrets you'll learn in seconds. Knowing these can mean the difference between life and death in a riot, crisis, or personal attack. I could go on and on here, because what I've just listed out only scratches the surface of what you're going to get. Yet, all you really need to know is this. By the time you've read through Alive After Crisis, you'll be prepared. You'll have peace of mind. Whether it's a massive storm, an economic collapse, or, God forbid, another terrorist attack that hits closer to home than 9/11 did, you'll have all your bases covered. Lights or power go out, you'll know what to do. Heat goes off, you'll know how to stay warm. Grocery stores bare, you'll be stocked up and eating well for weeks, even months. Your food will never spoil and you'll never run out of water. I hate to say it, but in any disaster, there are the haves and the have-nots. So you better make sure you and your family are part of the haves. No one else will take care of you. In a serious crisis, you can only rely on yourself, and your family is relying on you. Maybe you'll be able to help a few lucky neighbors. You could easily be the hero of the hour, or maybe the entire crisis. It's human nature to help those we can, and now you'll be able to help a lot more than before. That's the power you'll have. Now, if you think you can just go to your local bookstore and find this stuff between 2 covers in the survival section, think again. What you can find is too broad, too general, and it's scattered among far too many resources. Alive After Crisis is the get-to-the-point, no BS, no fluff, gritty truth exposed on everything you need to know to keep you and your family safe, warm, well-fed, and protected. It's broken down into 5 easy-to-follow, quick-to-digest modules, with full review sections at the end of each one, plus checklists you can print and exercises you could run through to give your family absolute confidence that you're ready for anything. Alive After Crisis was carefully and thoughtfully designed to guarantee you won't miss a beat. It didn't come easy either. Sure, I could have sat down and written 800 pages on every tiny nuance for every type of climate and geographical region in the USA. But that wouldn't do you any good because you'd never get through it. Well, sadly, that's how most survival books are written. Way too much useless information. Have you ever had to pack for a trip in a really small bag? You had to be picky and only include exactly what you needed. That's exactly how I wrote Alive After Crisis. Everything you need is there, but it's concise enough that you'll get through it quickly, which means you'll learn every last drop of it. It's all designed to jump right off the pages straight into your brain and stay there. In addition, I've also included 21 different detailed checklists for almost every type of survival scenario. What I did when I wrote this was ask myself, how would I survive in the worst of conditions, like a war zone? Randy G says, this book will save your life. It's already saved mine twice. Mike H says, better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So this book gets a space on my shelf just in case. It's the best book I hope you'll never need. Leo P. emailed and says, I'm a prepper. I believe in being well-versed in anything that might come in handy someday. This book is one of those things. I recommend it to anyone who wants to have an advantage should you ever need one. Megan Y. says, you've created something that's given me peace of mind. Knowing what I know now, I'm less vulnerable, more prepared and confident, knowing I'll be able to deal with what inevitably will come to pass. And there's more. So much more. As you can appreciate, I've spent literally years compiling, implementing, and organizing this information. Now, it's yours. Previously, I've only shared this information as part of exclusive invitation-only survival summits. These were usually conducted in high-end luxury resort destinations like Hawaii and the Caribbean islands. They were always sold out in advance. Now, you can get the same secrets shared in these sold-out seminars in the comfort of your home or office, all for just a fraction of the cost of attending my live $2,500 trainings, all for just $37. But only if you act today before the timer runs out. It's a bargain, and that's deliberate. I've decided, since the government is accelerating their preparations, we must start preparing big time. I felt I just couldn't go on teaching just a few Americans. Buddy L. from Alabama writes, I never knew how vulnerable my family and I were until I read Alive After a Crisis. At first, it scared the crap out of me, but in a good way. Now I know what's coming and how to prepare for it. When you sign up today, I'm going to do one more thing. Actually, 5. When I put on my live events, I get asked tons of questions. So during the event, I put on breakout sessions for folks. When you sign up today, I'm going to include the following detailed special project reports, all free when you place your order today. The first action guide bonus, Survival Skills to Teach Your Kids, is exactly that. How to improve the safety of your children by teaching them how to look after themselves. There are times when you simply can't be there for them. Give yourself peace of mind. When you click the button below now, you'll be able to give your children vital survival skills for life. In How to Make a Safe Room, you'll learn what you need to know to make your ultra-secure hidden safe room, also known as a panic room. At the peak of the crisis, when government thugs are out in force, looters are pounding down your door, when things are going crazy around you, imagine a place you've built safe, peaceful, quiet, and calm. A place where you're in control, where you have everything you need to live while things return back to normal. A place where you're not at risk, in jeopardy, or in harm's way. Clicking the button below now, and you're able to access life-saving room plans immediately. In my special report, Bug Out Bag Essentials, I'll give you the plans for the ultimate bug out bag to keep you alive for up to 72 hours in a crisis. Let me ask you, what's it worth to you to be able to leave your house in a disaster and know you and your family will be safe and secure even in the wild? I'll show you how. Just go ahead and click the button below now. You'll also get my special video on how to put together a family first aid kit. You're going to see me place the items you need in your first aid kit. And as you'll see, there are many you wouldn't even think about. I'll explain why you need them so you can have total peace of mind while others in your community panic. By clicking the button below now, you get access to this critical first aid kit video tutorial. Next, you also get my special video report called Shelter in Place. The name says it all. Most people have never heard of the term, but when there's an emergency and you don't know how to shelter in place, your best hope for survival is prayer. When you know how to shelter in place, anywhere you are, home, work, outdoors, the odds of you and your family surviving a crisis go up dramatically. If you own a small business, your employees will thank you. If you do only one thing to prepare, knowing how to shelter in place would be it. Clicking the button below now will make you an expert on shelter in place. Lastly, my video, 5 Essential Food Items, is a must, something you can't be without in the future. In this video, I share the 5 essential food items no home should ever be without. Why? Because these foods will serve for as many as 37 different survival functions in times of emergency. You can get it, too, by clicking the button below now. All these 5 special situation guides will give you targeted information, skills, and training in vital areas of personal and family survival. I want you safe, secure, knowing you're prepared to handle anything that happens. For $37, you get access to all this. No stone is left unturned, and you don't even have to decide now. Go ahead, click the button below and test drive the program. You have 2 full months to decide if Alive After a Crisis is everything I've said it is. If I haven't given you everything you need to weather any storm, crisis, or disaster, man-made or not, just email me for a prompt refund. Paul H. of Wisconsin says, do you know what an EMP attack is? Did you know how frail our aging national infrastructure that feeds our homes electricity is? How about how easy it is for something or someone to contaminate our water supply? What about the importance of basic needs like starting a fire, building a shelter, protecting yourself, or being able to barter for goods? I didn't. It's scary. Thank God I know what to do now. Elliot A. in Washington says, I heard the term preppers, but didn't get really interested in the topic until after Hurricane Sandy pummeled New York City. Your manual opened my eyes. Thanks to you, I'm taking action a little bit every day. Leroy M. in Oklahoma says, your manual was a lifesaver. My family recently made it through the recent tornadoes. We lost our house, and I'm writing to you from my mother-in-law's. But my family is safe, and I only have you and God to thank. Bless you. And also, I want you to know 10% of every sale is donated to the NRA, the Red Cross, and the Wounded Warriors Project. I believe in these organizations and the outstanding work they do. I feel when all hell breaks loose, these are the people we want on our side. I've also built out an exclusive Preppers-only website, a place where I'll be updating the course over time with new additions, which you'll have instant access to. Plus, on the website, I'll be releasing new material over the coming months that further help you, not just in the field, but with your mindset, strategies, approach, and other under-the-radar tactics. So sign up now below, and you'll get the course audios, the new material, and all the other goodies. But wait till tomorrow, wait until this video ends, and it may just be too late. We've all been in that situation where we wish we'd made the decision sooner. When I was a kid, I put off getting car insurance, but then I got into an accident and totaled my car. Listen, and in your heart, you know this. We're sitting on a powder keg that's set to blow. Every day we get closer and closer, and all hell's gonna break loose. The signs are impossible to ignore. So let's get you signed up. Let's get you up to speed fast. Go ahead and click on the button now. Once you have Alive After a Crisis in your hands, I want you to hit the ground running, totally prepared for anything that may happen ahead. Which now brings us to our final point. Listen, I can only guess by now you're pretty excited about learning the survival scenarios, skills, and tactics. But I must issue a stern yet sincere warning to those few that are still on the fence about signing up. Honestly, no punches pulled. Alive After a Crisis is not for everyone. It's only for those who are committed to surviving comfortably and safely in the aftermath of a disaster and the potential martial law that follows. In other words, if you're just looking to play Mountain Man on the Outdoors channel showing off your new survival skills, you're probably better off looking elsewhere. This is serious stuff. I developed Alive After a Crisis for Americans who are gonna really need help, who are concerned about America, and need to lay down a viable, secure survival plan for themselves and their family and loved ones. So no showing off. It stays between you and I and whomever you trust, okay? That said, you can count on developing some serious survival chops. When you click on the button below now, you're going to get immediate access inside Alive After a Crisis along with your special bonuses. Ordering takes place on ClickBank, the internet's most trusted and secure platform for purchasing online information. It's 100% safe from identity theft or any other security concerns. Your credit card bill will show a charge from ClickBank, and the toll-free customer service number will be printed next to it, just in case you ever need to contact us. So just click the button below and let's get started. Again, your Alive After a Crisis purchase is 100% safe and secure. As you can see from our security and privacy certificates below, I'm not some random faceless internet ripoff scam or Johnny-come-lately poser. Been around a while. One more thing, a last-minute update. Here's what else you'll find in the exclusive members area. Everybody that gets in on this today also gets the iPad and Kindle-compatible files. That means you can have this information with you at all times should the need arise. Plus, you'll get a lifetime of updates. I'm always adding more. It's become my life's passion to help people develop crisis management and survival skills. I have one last comment before we're done. Go ahead and give Alive After a Crisis a test drive right now. With my 60-day money-back guarantee, there's absolutely no risk. Just click the button below to get started. Now's the perfect time, while you still have time to prepare. I'm urging you because tomorrow may truly be too late. If you ever find yourself in a position to try the life-saving information, I guarantee you'll be looking back on this video as the most valuable use of time you've ever spent. You can't help loving that peace of mind knowing that in the event of a crisis, you know exactly what to do. While others are scrambling, getting sucked into the hysteria, the mob, and trying to cope, you and your family are safe, secure, comfortable, and prepared for whatever may happen, avoiding the brunt of the storm, whatever it is. I hope this has been an eye-opening experience for you today. I hope today reality has set in. I hope by listening to my words, at some level you're mentally prepared for things to come. And I hope I've inspired you to do the most important thing, and that is to act while there's still time. History shows us there are always a handful of people who see the writing on the wall before everyone else does and take action. My hope is you're with me. I hope you're one of these people. There's multiple disasters on the horizon. The only question is, how prepared are you? Go ahead and click the button below now, and I look forward to meeting you someday. God bless you and your family. Do you still have a question? Okay, I do at my live workshops as well, so let's get them handled. The first question I usually get is, will your course teach me X? Okay, let's get one thing straight. This course teaches one thing exceptionally well: how to survive, no matter what, how to give you the greatest odds in a crisis, how to make sure that you and your loved ones make it through anything, and I mean anything, intact and safe and unafraid. Will it turn you into a Navy SEAL? No. Will it turn you into a professor of prepping? No. Let me explain it like this. One of my favorite quotes from Bruce Lee is this: I do not fear the man who knows 10,000 moves. I fear the man who knows 7 moves and practices them 10,000 times each. A survival environment is a straight reaction environment. You don't have time to think. You don't want to be paralyzed by 10,000 bits of useless info you'll never use. You want what works, and works fast. That's why I structured Alive After a Crisis the way I did. So go ahead and click the button below now to get your copy. Next question. If I don't like it, can I get a refund? Answer: yes, of course, but I doubt you will. You want this information available and at the ready. That's how I structured it. That's why it's iPhone and iPad compatible, so you can have access even if the cell phone towers are out or we're hit by an EMP attack. You have 60 days to test drive the content. See if I don't prove beyond a question I know what I'm talking about. If I haven't, feel free to hit me up for a refund. There's nothing holding you back from being safe and secure with your family, so go ahead and click the button below now. Next question. Can I share this with my family? Answer: of course, by all means, please do. I don't think you appreciate how committed I am to you and your family's well-being in a crisis. One page out of my survival field guide could make all the difference to someone. In times of pure desperation, and I mean this, you could use pages of it to start a fire. In a survival environment, all options are on the table. So go ahead, click the button below and get instant access now. Next question. What happens if we lose power? How do I still get access? Answer: the easiest thing to do is print the manual out and store several copies for safekeeping. That's what makes the most sense. And like I said, if for some reason internet access is wiped out temporarily, you could save a copy on your local drive. By clicking the button below right now, you can get access to all versions, online and local. Next question. Buck, do you really think God's lifted his blessing on our country? Honest answer: not just on our country, but on the world. The world is becoming more and more crazy by the day. And it's not just the man-made problem, but the natural disasters are becoming more deadly and more frequent. Will certain families be spared? Yes. And it's why I do what I do. You know the saying, God helps those who help themselves. I really believe that. You've got to show God you're taking action on your own behalf. And the easiest way to do that right now is by clicking the button below and getting your copy. Next question. Do you really think America will become a police state? The answer is yes. It's already started. But this is not just an opinion. There are members of the government who are saying the same thing. Senator John McCain recently said, America is now a battlefield. You can't deny the preparations they're making. It's a coordinated assault on our rights and freedoms. And if they're making preparations, don't you think you should be too? The fact of the matter is this, and I'm sorry if I burst your bubble, but in a looming crisis, the government is not going to tell you what you need to know to stay alive. No. Why? Because they don't want to cause panic or alarm. They are very concerned about mobs and riots and mass hysteria. So they just don't say anything. When the time comes, they'll just use force. Martial law. That's why you have to be prepared. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And thankfully, people like you are waking up and listening and taking action. So go ahead if you haven't yet. Click the button below now, and let's get you up to speed and create a fortress of safety and security around your family. Because there is no safety net. The government is not going to be there to help. Next question. Can I get in trouble with the government for having this book? No. Not at all. There's nothing inside which would lead anyone to believe anything other than you're a law-abiding American through and through, that you care about your family, and you want to be prepared for the future. They would no sooner ban this book as they would ban the Boy Scouts. Please understand, I'm not radical, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm not paranoid in the least. I'm an American, a patriot like you, and a Christian, and I happen to have spent years learning and using some very cool stuff when it matters most. That's why I'm urging you to click the button below and take my years, decades actually, and put them to work for you. I've deliberately made the price super affordable, unlike my live programs which can cost thousands to attend. Next question. What's the most obvious crisis, Buck? Good question. Here's the answer. The next major crisis will be an economic meltdown like we've never witnessed in history. And it's going to shut everything down literally overnight because everything is so interconnected today. Not having cash in times of crisis is a terrible, terrible, terrible mistake, even if it's just $50 to put gas in the car. And of course, this will lead to all sorts of shortages, making life difficult if you're not prepared. The writing is on the wall. $17 trillion is an unrepayable amount of debt. It's going to be paid off in worthless dollars. Wall Street is skittish. The banks led by the IMF and World Bank have plans in place to confiscate our money in a time of financial crisis. It happened in Cyprus, and it'll happen here and elsewhere. By the time the crisis hits, it'll all be too late. I beg you, not for my sake, but for you and your families, prepare, be proactive. Click the button below right now and let's get you started, okay? I really want you safe and secure. Next question. Can you give us just one more tip, Buck? Okay. On a related note, have as much cash as possible on hand at the ready. Don't put it in one location. That's a very bad idea. Put it in waterproof containers. Fireproof if you can, but for sure, hide it and only you know where it is. Money solves a lot of problems, as you know. It opens a lot of doors. So always keep some in your home, in your garage, in your car, at your office. Of course, hide it. Hide it well. Hide it so it's impossible for someone else to find. Because in a crisis, looters and marauders will be out in full force. Hopefully, I've answered your major questions. There's only one thing left to do, and you know what it is. I'm not going to say it again. My hope and wish and prayer for you is that if nothing else, you got how important preparation is in a survival scenario. Listen, and you'll think about this, I'm sure. If you don't do this and something happens to your family, you'll live with that regret for the rest of your days. Please, take action now. You'll be taking the first small but significant step in ensuring your family's survival as we all head into the eye of the storm. And I'll see you on the other side, where you'll find me waiting with a very special personal welcome for you. Again, God bless you and your family. Take care. Be safe.